Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm getting ready to do something that is really a part of my spiritual practice, and I thought I might share it with you in that I like to read for other people, and then there's that preparation that goes into readying myself mentally and physically on doing a reading for someone. This next one is so different for me. I've never read for someone who wants information on dealing with grief, having lost their dog, and wondering how the dog is doing and how they get beyond their grief and why the dog was brought into their life. Those deep, deep questions that we all need answers to when we're grieving. Now, my preparation might be different than other people's. It takes me sometimes days to prepare for a reading for a person or a client. And I like to get intuitive hits and feelings as what I can bring to the reading and open that space up so that spirit, that guide, that entity that wants to come through and talk, whether it be a dog, cat, whatever. For me, this time it is a dog, and this is the first time that I have done this type of reading. I say cats because a lot of people I see are expressing on the internet, on their Facebook, and things like that, the amount of grief that they feel when they lose their cat. So everyone's pet is different. And this is just one that I was approached by a friend that I've worked with for many, many years. And I even worked in her store reading. She helped me out so much getting my, little practice going in a very small town. So here I am, miles away from her. And this is a way that I can give back and reach out and bring some comfort to someone who is hurting. So, what have I done so far to prepare? Well, I did search for some decks and I had two. She picked one, and then I got the intuition hit that I needed to find my dog tarot. So here it is here. And this is a fortune telling deck and book that I modified. I wasn't happy with some of the illustrations inside. I needed a little bit more visual clues, I guess, if I was reading for someone around their pet, what I would like to see on the cards or things that could trigger my mind. And so I'll show this at the end, but this is the little doggy tarot that I ended up contacting Angie and saying, how about this one? And so we forfeited our choice between the other two, and we went with this one. So this is going to be fun to bring this back out again. Some of the things that I'm gathering are um, an incense burner as I was walking around the house. So I've got some, I think it's called agar wood in here. I've got a feeling that I want to bring a lot of earthy things to this reading. The balls were brought in for another hit, but also that feeling of, pets like to have their toys around them. I don't know if this dog, which is Titan, by the way, might as well call him by his name. And so I've got these balls here. One is a snowflake obsidian. It's quite gorgeous for a little mini one, mini crystal. This is howlite, and it is good for keeping negativity away, and a little bit of amethyst for some intuitive nature. I'm going for a little blue candle, and I think I'll leave it burning probably for some time to sort of let the energy for Titan and Angie do its thing after I do the reading. I went for this earthy sphere, this ball. It just called to me, so it's going on the table to bring some grounding. my wand, I thought, well, dogs like sticks. I'm bringing a stick in. So those are some of the fun things that I try to bring on top of the serious. Now I know that Angie does an awful lot of meditation. So this is a little meditative mat that always sits with this statue. And I know it's not expensive or anything, but it's something that always sits on a little altar along with the burner. And I'm bringing some labradorite in as well. Now, I did go on to a couple sites this morning because my new tea book, although it has a spell I just presented for a broken heart, I wanted one for grief. And of course, that led me down another little rabbit hole. What tea could I suggest? What herbs could I burn? And I did find this little cauldron, and I'm going to put some charcoal inside and burn some of the herbs. Now, I did use my incense. Yes, but I've also brought in my pendulum to help me make some decisions on what to put in this little burner. So, the internet, there was one site and it was called Mountain Rose Herbs. And it suggested making a grief tea using hawthorn berries, chamomile, damiana, and rose hips. So when I used my pendulum, it was interesting, and I think it's because I'm reading for Titan, who is a dog and very scent aware, that I had to take the lids off of everything when using my pendulum because I got the sense that Titan wanted to actually smell everything first before he could make up his mind as to what herbs and scents to bring. So he was okay with Damiana leaf. Titan said yes to some rose hips. So I'm not sure, as I say, this is going to be a tea or in the burner. I kind of think it's going in my little burner. So it'll be a teaspoon of each of these mixed. I'm going to do a mixture and just pour a little bit at a time on my charcoal disc in my little burner. And it's not a perfect burner, but it's what I'm going to be using. I just got the feeling. The other thing I'm going to do is this is elder leaves and flowers, which is really good for grief. How do I know? I have a packet and I have labeled it as such. So I'm going to put Titan's name on this little piece of paper here and somehow bring that into the ritual with some of the herbs that are in this tea bag. And a tip I can give is if you want to start working with herbs and such, and the budget is tight, picking up a box of the herb that you want to use as a tea bag, much more inexpensive. So that's going in the blend. And when I took the lid off my frankincense, that is going in. And this is probably going to be for myself. We've got a full moon coming up, and this is an oil blend that I made. And if I bring it into focus there, I hope you can see that. It's 2 drops of myrtle, 2 of sandalwood, and 2 of rose. So that I keep on my altar for full moon work. So that is going to be used. You can see that stuff there. What was cast off, and I got the feeling that Angie doesn't like chamomile. I had a chamomile parsley blend that I grew and put in here. That was a no. I got a feeling that marshmallow root, which is very good and calming, no. And no to Palo Santo, and no to just pure chamomile. Absolutely no, it said. And I even brought in some of this willow bark that I had in my heartbreak spell because I thought that might be nice to burn and clear the space with, and that was a no. And a few little crystals, some carnelian and blue tiger eye. Absolutely not. So I guess we're keeping it simple, so to speak. Although I have the tea blend, yes, to mix for burning. This is basically going to be it along with the cards. So let me clear some of this and I'll show you my modified doggy tarot that Titan and I have been using the last night, and he's actually starting to speak to me intuitively through the cards. So hang tight. Now, Angie is very much into this pose every morning. I think she gets up at 4:30 in order to do all her meditation, and I think she retires early at night and does the same thing. So, one of the cards we pulled, and I'll show you in here, did discuss the fact that she needs to do some grief meditation and release that, which is so hard to do, that attachment, and let Titan go. And that makes me all teary eyed too. Pause. Okay, back to the deck. Now, they call it a tarot, but there's really not a full 78 cards in here. And it is presented in the book in a way that you can certainly gather information from, but it is also in a very fun manner. So it's a discover the ancient wisdom of the major and minor barcana right off the bat. Isn't that just hilarious? The barcanas. Okay, so we're going to unlock the secrets behind your dog's confounding behavior with the help of this illustrated oracle deck. Simply ask a question, draw a card, and consult the enclosed guidebook. And there is a doggy card in here for Nostradamus. So let me just show you some of the cards. I'm not sure who the author is. I should get that for you. It's put out by Potter Style. I can see that here. And this is a 2012 book. And oh, yes, there it is right there. Get it in focus for you, hopefully, yes. So it is Heidi Schulman. So let's play with the cards. Now, part of my spiritual practice, as I say, if I'm going to be doing a reading for someone, I choose the deck days in advance and I start to play with it. I start to ask questions and I wait for that feeling that I am getting some answers and guidance for the person I'm going to be reading for. But in this case, it is Titan. So what I do is go through the cards asking questions, as I said, and these ones get set aside so I can work through the deck. So those are the ones I've read with. These are the ones that are yet to be, shuffled and let a question and answer come through. And I will say that she does have explanations here for the minor barcana. So you've got your bowls, your leashes, your biscuits, and your bones. And what I did was go through each of the little descriptions, and because bowls generally in a lot of tarot are cups, but because there's the feeling, nurturing, and emotions mentioned in here, as well as imagination. So definitely for me, I translated the bowls to cups. Now the leashes are control, manipulation, and things that might be headstrong behavior. So that went to swords. Biscuits, optimism, hope, adventure. To me, wands. And then you've got material possessions, which is definitely coins to me. The only thing is you get 3 cards in each of the minor barcana. So let me, just hold these up. We'll go through them. Okay, I got to tell myself that I haven't read these ones. So we'll go like this for now. I don't want to start mixing things up on myself and screwing my little spiritual practice. So here we have the 7 of bones. Now, this has been totally modified. And when you shuffle the cards, if you could, in your own little hot hands, you'd notice that you'd feel the cards that I have modified. So I've actually brought in a pentacle shape here. I've added in the ivy, made it more like a talisman, and put some gold on some of the bones. And I did, because years ago, learning this deck, and it was very inexpensive, put some words along the side as triggers. But now that I go back years later, I can read it more intuitively now than before, and some of these don't jive with me down the side. Things are changing. So this is the Seven of Coins, and in the book she suggests, having patience when this card should come up. There's a need to have patience and work through some issues or blockages. And this came up with a question with, asking Titan if he was ready to talk. And basically, I got the feeling that yes, but have patience. And then we can dig in deeper. So that is the 7. Here is our Chariot. As they say, a friend doesn't allow another friend to travel without the windows down so you can take in all the aromas. But I get the feeling, too, that sometimes Titan is in the driver's seat. He might have been a powerful little boy. Okay, this one came up just this morning for Titan. And this is, as I say, the way I'm prepping. And I really felt that he was talking when I asked him. It was really quite a deep question. Having lost my father, who was not metaphysically inclined at all, and I had asked him, if you would come to me after you passed, and he said, how am I going to do that? I'm dead. But he did come to me when he passed. And I got the feeling that, and there's a lot of information around this if you do your research, that when someone is super sick and passes, there's a time period they have to go through where they rest and recuperate. And I asked Titan if it was the same thing for dogs, and he said yes. And this being the hanged man or the hanged dog, there's a sort of sense of limbo that they go into. And I think he's aware of Angie's grieving, and he's also a little bit stuck in that limbo. He's looking at his leash there. It's like, why can't we connect again? I want to go for a walk. My world seems a little upside down. There's our One of Bones. And if you look at this deck online and see some other reviews, you might see how it should look when it comes out of the box. But I've enhanced all kinds of colors in here and added the gate and the pentacle. This one I went to town and put all kinds of things in the doggy bowls. Our Three of Bones. This one I didn't touch. That's the Moon card. It was beautiful on its own. Our Wheel of Fortune. The dog as an oracle. Dogs know, they sense. There's our Fool. Justice. The Pack. And I think Titan liked the feeling of being part of the family, part of a pack. The shelter one sort of threw me a bit. I still have to work through that. The couch, like this dog, I think ruled. He sat wherever he wanted to sit. Okay, these are the ones then I still have to work through. All right, so here's the cat. And I think that's because the cat is taking away some of the authority of the little doggy. The Sun. The Magician. Three of Bowls. One of Leashes. So I've added and embellished all kinds of things there. The Three of Leashes. One of Bowls. Seven of Leashes. Biscuits. What doggy doesn't like a biscuit? dreaming of a biscuit there, I think. The dog catcher, the hydrant, the runt, 3 of biscuits, and the wanderer. Isn't that so cute? So those ones I'll be working with Titan on tonight. And although Angie needs the healing, I think through the words of Titan himself, I can learn to understand his side of things and hopefully bring that to the reading. I'm not sure just yet how the layout is going to be. I've got to let that sort of develop. I would say in the next couple days you'll see a video about the dog tarot and a reading for Angie. So Titan has just passed. It's all fresh and new. She's hurting, and I just want to be able to, ease her mind a little bit. So this is part of my spiritual practice, and I thought anyone out there, who reads for their pets or about their pets might also be interested in this. And I'm not sure if this deck is still available. I saw it a couple years ago. I think they even came out with a cat one. My cat tarot is different, but I didn't have a lot of call for reading for pets. But now I'm quite thrilled that Titan is willing to work with me. And Angie gave me the go-ahead. So watch in a couple days and we'll see how this pans out and see if I can bring some comfort. And she wanted it shown as well so that anyone else who has lost a pet might benefit also. Everyone, hugs and have a great day.